Wouldn't you want a gentle boyfriend too?
Most people would describe me as super gentle.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how pretty do I look today?
Below usual.
So gentle, he feels like a home.
I'm gentle.
I feel uncomfortable.
Invasion.
I'm gonna do a little movie.
So gentle and soft, like the wind on your face from a Category 5 hurricane. Hurricane Ben. So gentle, he has a knife to your throat. As a joke. Little comedian. You goofball. This was a joke, right? He was only joking about slitting your throat open. Do you want to know what's a funnier joke, bro? You in jail. Our little jester. Jail the jester. Not sure this is the kind of man you'd want to call your boyfriend, but hey, Forbes called him a prodigy. The investors, though, called him a fraud. His girlfriend called the police, allegedly. He called himself gentle. This is the story of Ben Pasternak, a man who had spent most of his life writing his own story, crafting his own sort of global perception. The Forbes feature, PR rollouts, and a whole lot of damage behind him swept under the carpet of Hurricane Ben until Evelyn Ha, where this alleged damage stops being about numbers and money and becomes human. A mark on her face. Before it was wreak havoc, someone else dealt with the damage. None of those occasions had people that really, cared for them. Evelyn does. 4.4 million of them. And so Ben had gone from Forbes business prodigy, 30 under 30, gooning glazing articles over him, to getting charged with second-degree strangulation and third-degree assault on April 21st of this year.
Perhaps you've seen the recent allegations against me that I strangled my ex-girlfriend. That is not true.
Bestie, please meet Draco Malfoy of LinkedIn, Ben Pasternak. Or actually, let me introduce you to the version of him that I believe a PR team tirelessly worked to make sure you'd meet first. Ben Pasternak. A little scary looking from this angle, Ben. I'd pick another picture, but Ben loves this picture. He's Australian, my age, but more successful. Way more successful, bro. In my defense, he grew up affluent. At 15, this boy drops out of high school and decides,
I'm going to New York City to conquer tech and the city.
Where were you at 15? At school, same. Fuck.
I dropped out of, middle school. So I kind of sacrificed everything. If you don't sacrifice everything, the goal becomes the sacrifice.
Now, if you're wondering what kind of 15-year-old gonna move out their parents' house from Australia to New York City, of all cities, without a high school degree? Well, the kind with a grandfather who's worth $300 million, of course. Yes. Ben the prodigy, self-made, a bootstrap legend, boy genius, conqueror of the tech world, with his sheer talent alone, grandson to Bob Magid, a very wealthy Australian property developer, net worth $300 million. You're not gonna find that in the Forbes 30 under 30 article, by the way.
That's not good for the story.
Man was so under 30, he'd need another category. You wouldn't find it on his Wikipedia page either, which he edits, by the way. Allegedly wrote it himself and thought, let's just remove Grandpa altogether.
Oh, this is unnecessary information. The whole 300 million. No.
And the tech blocks loved him. They were writing think pieces, losing their minds, jaws dropping at the sheer phenomenon that brilliant Ben was.
The new boy wonder.
They were gonna make sure you knew about it. Hold on. What are we so excited about? Well, it starts with an app.
He launched an app.
Yeah, someone else's app. Impossible Rush, a mobile game with little to impress.
Genius!
Not genius, okay. Enjoyable. Just you move the shape around, get the colors right. Reminds me of those blocks you fit into for toddlers. It's fun though, not gonna lie. Ben was 14. He supposedly built it, and that's impressive. Apple featured it internationally. The media went viral. I'm gonna need you to calm down. Unlike Bob the builder, Ben was not a builder. Two developers built it. Sabake Najad and David Zorbist. It was their game, 3 Points was its name. A marketer bought it off them with limited rights, got rebranded to Impossible Rush, but that wasn't enough. It needed something else. A lie. Marketed as the invention of a 14-year-old prodigy in tech, Ben Pasternak. And apparently there was this developer in the thread, Grant Wilkinson, who'd worked with Ben on the app and says he alleges he was never paid. Hold on. The legend was built on someone else's code, someone else's concept, someone else's alleged unpaid labor. But Prodigy Pasternak accepted every headline, every brilliant Ben feature. It's giving daddy's money in a way, hey daddy, put me on the map. But the app was just the beginning of the Ben Pasternak. And then came the Vegan Nuggets Simulate, which did well, until it didn't. And he jumped ship before it would tarnish his name. And by October 2024, Simulate, his company, is acquired by a holding company, amount undisclosed, which in startup language means it's not a number that you want to put on a headline. Okay? It means it was pretty bad. That's the reality for many startups, okay? The entrepreneurial world is brutal, but not many people are as privileged as Ben to keep trying. He's also lucky enough to have someone else take the hit for it. Someone else explained to investors where their $57 million went. Ben Pasternak, meanwhile, moved on to his next venture. Believe! In 2024, Ben creates Believe, a platform where anybody could trade or create a token tied to a creator or an influencer. $6 billion in trading volume, you guys. It was huge. $54 million he collected in platform fees. Now you know he has charges against him today. Strangulation. What you don't know is he has another case on him. Yes, two. A class action lawsuit alleging Ben Pasternak is a con artist and scammer. Let me explain why in non-financial terms. Imagine a lemonade stand opens up in your street. Huge hype. There's people queuing at the stand and they're selling loyalty cards. As in, you buy this card and you get free lemonade when you come back. One day you show up and the stand is gone. They took the loyalty card money and left. Technically, you willingly, voluntarily bought the loyalty card, but you still got fucked over. That, my friend, is a rug pull. And sort of what Ben had allegedly done with his first token, Pasternak, which he conveniently named after himself, the prodigy that he is. He publicly announced he had zero ownership in it. No conflict of interest, don't worry. Just a founder that's generously giving his community something to invest in. The class action lawsuit alleges that was a lie. He didn't do it once, of course. He did it again with Launchcoin. This time, he made a specific promise. He promised a buyback mechanism that fees go back into the coin to sort of protect the investments. Basically,
I promise I won't just pocket everything and disappear. I promise.
Ben said this 12 times.
I promise.
On public record. 12 times. I don't think I've made 12 promises in my life. This man honored none of them. Let that speak on his character for a minute. Promised 12 times, didn't honor a single promise. Now you'd think that's it, right? No more trust for this man. But no. He drops Launchcoin and launches Believe. What? What does that mean? If I bought a bunch of Launchcoin, what happened to my Launchcoin? What happened to my asset? Migration mandatory. You have 2 weeks to comply, or your holdings get permanently wiped. New Pasternak policy. What? So I have to move my coins from this to that by force. Yes. And during this great migration, your balance shrinks by a third because 333 million new tokens are made. Your investment is diluted. After the migration, Ben goes silent. His last tweet was on October 16, 2025. Platform, he's Believe, their Twitter goes dark as well in January 2026. 2 months before the class action lawsuit and strangulation charges. That tweet was about Believe V2. New feature. Guess what the new feature was that innovative Ben Pasternak came up with? The ability to trade sentiment on any human being. I'm sorry, what? Goodness gracious, that's fantastic. Whether you believe in them or don't, whether you like them or not, that you can trade. Financial markets for people's reputations, their likability, and whether the world thinks they're worth anything or not. That was Ben's idea. How innovative, Ben. So this timeline brings us to March 2026 when this class action lawsuit is filed in the Southern District of New York. Simple complaint: we got played. But bestie, it's not about crypto coins, okay? I'm getting a feeling, a hunch, in my gut that says that this guy cannot be trusted. From the app he took credit for, to the glazing PR, to the vegan nuggets, to the empty promises, to the alleged money scheme. There's a bit of a pattern. You know, I don't know. We've cut people off for a lot less in our lives. And wait! And there's 2 lawsuits against you simultaneously. One of them, civil, but federal. The other, criminal. Bro, you either have really bad luck or something about you is just not right. I personally don't know many people who have a federal lawsuit against them for running an alleged money theft scheme and a simultaneous police case for strangulation on them. Forbes prodigy, they said it. The next, Sam Altman. Scam Altman? Mark Zuckerberg? No, this is Mark Zucker, borrow your money and ideas and never give them back. Okay? Ben may be innocent, but was hiding from the federal lawsuit in a bougie hotel, the Baccarat Hotel in Midtown Manhattan, allegedly with his ex-girlfriend. It was March 31, 2026. That day when he was allegedly hiding from the first crime was when he had allegedly committed the second. It's important to note, though, that these are all allegations, and he had since denied these allegations. But now, there's something I'd like you to notice about everybody we talked about. The app developer, no platform, no reach. The CEO that took the hit for those vegan nuggets, no platform, no reach. Nothing PR can't fix. Their losses are a number in a lawsuit. Every time he walked away clean. Nobody was watching until Evelyn Ha, whose entire career is built on one thing: letting people watch. Every trip, every dinner, every side comment, every playful push, every joke that didn't feel like a joke. Her audience was watching, and unlike every industry he had been through, she had a comment section, an instant feedback loop. So for the first time in his career, the story was writing itself without his direct or indirect control. He couldn't really shape the narrative. The camera was on him, and he couldn't turn it off. Evelyn Ha. Born April 15, 1999, a vlogger and oldest of the Ha sisters, which, by the way, is its own franchise of like sisters roasting each other, fighting about nothing.
Ow!
But also somehow making millions of people feel like the fourth sister or brother when we're all together in a group chat. She's not a visionary or a philosopher. You know, she's no prodigy. She's a vlogger who shows you her real life, you know, fights with her sisters, maybe they don't talk to each other in the best way, but hey, that's their family. It's unfiltered and raw enough to feel real. And I guess that's part of why millions of people watch them. Whether you think she's selfish, how she speaks, how they talk to each other, like, that's irrelevant. Because now you had spent a considerable amount of time meeting Ben Pasternak. So when I tell you, in late 2024, Evelyn had a relationship with this man, you are viewing this from a very different set of eyes than her audience was. You may even know this dude better than she did when she'd met him. What the audience saw was a successful man. LinkedIn Draco Malfoy, private jet, an upgrade. Because before Ben, there was Fred.
Special guest, and his name is Fred.
You need to understand Fred to understand what comes next. If you were in the Ha Sisters community back in 2023, you'd know this arc. Fred Liu was a friend, a part of their group. Slowly, video by video, the audience starts catching feelings on their behalf before Evelyn and Fred even admitted anything to themselves. They look so cute together! Meet My Boyfriend dropped. The internet goes insane because this is the love story people have been waiting for. You know, friends to lovers were obsessed. They were making edits, they were manifesting proposals, they were picking wedding venues in the comments for people they've never met, people who never asked for this. I know you're excited. I'm gonna need you to calm down because in 2024, it was over. Different goals, different directions, civil, mature, clean, good breakup. But people speculate she did this, he did that.
How could you ruin this?
He clarifies at one point that she didn't cheat. There was this speculation that she's a serial cheater. So he posts this TikTok comment. He's like, you guys, no, she didn't cheat. But the internet was not clean about it. The internet was in disbelief. It was parasocially grieving a relationship that was never theirs. A few months later, and Evelyn posts a video. A boy flew her out on a private jet. No face, no name, we don't know yet. Mystery man, it's anonymous. Eventually, she reveals him, and it's brilliant Ben, the Pasternak prodigy. Tech entrepreneur, Forbes 30 under 30, multi-millionaire? Girl! Wow! You already know who that is, okay? But her audience doesn't. And that difference in perspective means something. Because Fred becomes this benchmark, measuring tape, proof of what good looked like. Every time Ben appears on camera doing something questionable, which happened a lot, the comments fill with Fred's. It's not hard to see why. Okay, Fred was nice, soft-spoken.
That's what I'm hearing.
Ben calls her bitch.
Get my name right, you.
Tells her to shut the fuck up. Bestie, what the hell kind of a relationship are you in? Your partner calls you bitch and says shut the fuck up. Even as a joke, okay? Your friends saying, bitch, shut the fuck is one thing. And your partner saying, bitch, shut the fuck is something else. He's got this nonchalant, Fred would never. Relentless. So much to the point where she had to make a video, Evelyn, asking people to stop bringing him up. And of course, the internet being, well, the internet meant people were gonna bring him up more. You tell people what not to do is what they do. This is where it gets dark. After the arrest went public in April 2026, people went back 2 years of this couple's content, rewatched. And what they found was concerning, to say the least. Incriminating, perhaps not, but concerning, yes. There's videos of Evelyn asking Ben how pretty she looked on a scale of 1 to 10.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how pretty do I look today?
Below usual.
Rude. At most. Videos of him telling her she looks scary.
You look scary.
Something a, I don't know, 5-year-old boy would say about girls in his, like, class.
Boys rule, girls ew.
That's the vibe that gives. There's this video of him physically pushing her on the bed. They're play fighting. It's not like that, too. Okay. There's a clip of him holding a sharp end of the knife to her throat.
Right here. Stop.
Play fighting? Is that play fighting too? Is that a joke? Because please elaborate. Sit me down, because this is a humor I probably can't wrap my thick mind around. I have a thick head. Please elaborate to me. Explain to me the nature of this joke. I want to know exactly how this could possibly be interpreted as a joke. This is a grown-ass man holding a knife to his girlfriend. A joke? Anybody calling this a joke is the joke. Your boundaries are a joke. Can you imagine your sibling being in a relationship with someone who'd held a knife to their throat? Can you imagine that? Would you accept it to somebody you loved? Be so for real.
Would you rather we go swimming in the pool over there, and I hold your head underwater and you die? Or we go on a romantic boat trip at night, and I push you off the boat and leave you?
If this was not telling to something darker, this is a lame ass relationship. I'm sorry, I can't get over that, the knife. If this was in front of me, there would be a police report before you put that knife down, okay? But Evelyn defended him. She said social media is fake. These 60-second clips are not telling of what their relationship's really like. She's not entirely wrong about that. In hindsight, that is actually one of the most interesting lines of this entire story. Those 60-second clips don't tell the full story of the relationship. So she pushes back on those Fred comparisons and said that golden Fred era, that was a very toxic relationship. Even though it looked perfect on screen for you, she's telling you the camera lies. The relationship that looked good was actually bad. And so, the one that looks bad might actually be fine. She might have been completely right. Or she might have been doing what people do in these difficult situations, defending it, because the alternative is often a lot harder. Both of those things are possible. I don't know which one is true, and neither do you, and we will likely never know, because Ben disappears from Evelyn's content. Early 2026, she goes quieter, and the audience starts speculating. And then on April 1st, 2026, April Fool's Day, she posts a video titled, "Get ready with me to cover my scar." She has visible marks on her face. The comments filled with unsuspecting jokes, okay? Like, nice one, or April Fools, we're not falling for it. But she keeps posting, and the marks are still there. And on April 21st, it became public that Ben Pasternak had been arrested. He was charged with 1 count of second-degree strangulation and third-degree assault with intent to cause physical injury. And the alleged incident, March 31st, the Baccarat Hotel in Midtown Manhattan, $2,000 a night. By the way, according to the reports, they were there because Ben was in hiding, remember, from his crypto class action lawsuit from 8 days earlier. Remember that? The allegation, what they're speculating happened, was that she had tried to film him while he was in hiding, and a fight broke out. What even is strangulation? Well, under New York Penal Law 121.12, it's a Class D felony. This is not a misdemeanor. This is a big deal. A felony means that the state is treating this as a serious crime. The crime being intentionally cutting off somebody's circulation by pressing on their throat or neck. The medical documentation reportedly included redness on the neck, throat pain, difficulty breathing. Courts treat strangulation very, very seriously because the research shows that this act, strangulation, is a very strong predictor of future lethal violence in these cases of, DV. And this charge could get him up to 7 years in prison. But he pleads not guilty. On April 23rd, Evelyn posts a video. I want you to listen carefully, not just to what she says, but to what she didn't.
There's been serious boundaries that were crossed, and I decided to move away from that relationship for the sake of my safety and my well-being.
Serious boundaries, safety, well-being. It's obviously somebody navigating an active legal case on legal advice. So for people saying, why didn't she come out and talk and make a statement? Well, she went to the law right away. And I think that's, the right thing to do rather than, go online, let me tell you all what. But before we get into this mess, I need you to be able to hold two truths at the same time. What I'm about to walk you through is not something where you can just pick a side and call it done. The court does that. What we do is listen carefully without drawing conclusions. That said, we are 100% within our right to feel suspicious, right? To express, let's say, unease towards someone who we have now learned has a questionable character considering their past actions. But a few days after this arrest goes public, Ben posts a YouTube video. He denied strangling Evelyn.
I have never strangled anyone in my entire life.
He said he had never been physically aggressive.
I'm not physically aggressive in any way at all.
And described himself, and I quote, as super gentle.
Most people would describe me as super gentle.
Hold on.
Super gentle.
Super gentle. Well, we have a different understanding of the word gentle, I guess. It's giving, I'm so humble, by a guy who pays a PR firm to go around publishing articles about his genius and humility since he was 15, allegedly. It's also giving, I'm an honest and trustworthy man, while there is a class action lawsuit waiting for you in the Southern District of New York about an alleged scam scheme. It's giving, I built this from nothing, self-made by the grandson of the $300 million real estate developing magnate. Magnate? So the Ben Pasternak brand has always been bridging the gap between what he says about himself and what the receipts say.
Super gentle?
I don't know, bro. But he then says that Evelyn was the abusive one in the relationship.
Throughout my relationship with Evelyn, it started with control. She had concerns that, she's going to be abandoned for another girl. I had lots of female friends, and it started with, if you see this girl, I'm going to break up with you, or you have to pick me or them. And over time, I just basically wasn't allowed to see my friends, and I got more contained and cornered and isolated. When I, after these kind of like psychological threats stopped working of her threatening me, she resorted to being physical, hitting, pulling, scratching, all the things, digging her nails into me.
He alleges his couples therapist had even recommended getting a restraining order against her.
Our couples therapist had told me one-on-one that I should consider getting a restraining order against Evelyn.
Your couples therapist said, get a restraining order? Whoa! Maybe just go your separate ways before you get a restraining order. But apparently, according to him, his body was covered in scratches while on a trip to Asia, and her sisters confronted her about it.
My body was covered in scratches, and her sisters saw it, and they knew exactly where the scratches were from, and they went to Evelyn and told her off, and they said, this is not okay.
Okay, interesting. All right. But his entire defense pivots around this one line. When he ended things, her final words were,
And her last text to me was, I'm going to make sure this comes back to you 10,000 times fold. And she, I later learned, immediately went to the police and alleged that I strangled her.
So his argument is essentially that these charges were not a cry for help, but a revenge for a breakup. He provides no evidence in this video, no screenshots, no medical reports, no scratches, nothing. But he says it exists and that it's going straight to court, which is actually the correct move legally. I guess genuinely cannot present evidence in an active court case, an active criminal case, mind you, without affecting proceedings. So absence of evidence does not immediately mean that it does not exist, but it does mean that we have no way to verify anything he has said. And that uncertainty is exactly where this story lives right now. But let's dissect his statement a little bit. Let's break it down. Let's talk DARVO. It's a common psychological pattern in these domestic violence contexts. Deny, attack, reverse victim, offender. Deny.
I have never strangled anyone in my entire life.
Attack.
Evelyn is a master manipulator, not to be trusted. She's been unfaithful in all of these relationships.
Reverse victim offender.
She would hit me or be physical with me.
I'm the real victim. She abused me. I need protection. DARVO describes behavior. It does not determine guilt. The pattern fitting does not automatically mean that this person's lying. It just gives you a lens. What do you do with that lens is up to you. Do we view the entire story from the larger context of his character that we've covered earlier in the video?
Not to be trusted.
Does she have a class action lawsuit about her? About her not being trusted like you do? It's important to still be mindful though, okay? This is a very complex situation. Honestly, it is genuinely impossible to weigh in on this without risking harm in one direction or the other. If I say I believe he's lying, I am potentially denying a male victim of abuse his right to be heard. And men experience abuse, it's real. There is no specific look to an abuser. If I say that I believe him, then I am potentially helping a man with an active strangulation charge shift blame onto the woman he had allegedly hurt using a narrative, DARVO, that had been historically weaponized against women in these particular domestic violence contexts for decades. And neither of those outcomes is acceptable. So I'm gonna do the thing the internet hates the most. I don't know. Okay, the courts will decide. I feel like our job as spectators to an active criminal case is to hold that complexity without collapsing it into something tidier than what the situation is. Do I think that their relationship sounds healthy? No. The way he speaks to her on camera, his entire past, the way she might be speaking sometimes to her sisters, it does give toxic. And a toxic relationship is not one villain and one saint. But this isn't about a toxic relationship anymore. This is about a victim of abuse. And the important truth to hold is that there may not be a perfect victim in this story. The perfect victim is a myth that demands that survivors of abuse must be without fault, blameless, instantly compliant, and behaving in very specific ways for society to believe that they are indeed victims. If people don't like Evelyn because she's rude to her sisters, because she had allegedly cheated on her ex, although he had said that she did not. But okay, that does not revoke her victimhood to abuse. You don't need to be a perfect victim to be a victim of abuse. In a twisted way, I guess the same could be said about Ben. His kind of scammy, untrustworthy past does not remove from his potential to have been abused. Naturally, though, it does weaken his argument in the public's eye. So Ben posts this video, and the reactions are pretty bad. The comments are brutal. Most people are not buying this super gentle. No, right? And fair enough, you know? There's nothing super gentle about holding that knife. I'm not letting that go. Come on, okay? The nerve on you, bro. But then Fred posts. Fred Liu, the ex, the benchmark, the golden standard. That Fred, he posts an Instagram story where he'd been silent for years, mind you. He says, I just saw Ben Pasternak's video. I wasn't planning to speak publicly, but hearing experiences that felt familiar made staying silent feel wrong. I was in a relationship with Evelyn for years before Ben. During that relationship, I experienced things that were consistent with parts of what Ben described, including physical violence. When our relationship ended, a version of events was shared publicly that did not fully reflect my experience. So he's saying when things ended pleasantly, that was a lie. At the time, I chose not to respond. I wanted to protect her. I didn't want to turn a private situation into something public, and I was young and didn't fully know how to handle the situation. Yeah, and immediately, the internet turns on Fred.
Why now? You've been silent for years. You've been clearly paid.
These are, in many cases, the exact same people who in every other context would tell you that survivors of abuse stay silent for years, who know that protecting the person who hurt you is one of the most human reactions to abuse, who will correctly tell you
Why didn't you speak sooner?
is one of the most harmful things you can tell to someone disclosing their experience with abuse. But the moment this man said those exact things, I wanted to protect her, I was young, I didn't know how to handle it, they said,
You liar, he paid you.
is this selective empathy? Or are people just upset about the fact that it seems as though Fred had sort of unified forces with Ben, whose character, once again, is questionable, considering the past that we just covered, against his ex-girlfriend, Evelyn. Is Fred's statement, like, above scrutiny? No. The timing is suspicious. I'm not gonna jump on the hate train and say,
You liar, he paid you.
no. I understand where that's coming from, with Ben having an alleged affection for controlling the narrative. Recall the PR articles gooning over him. I will not make those assumptions. I will say, however, that the timing was a choice. Fred's statement surfaces hours after Ben's video. You know, he previously gave the impression that their breakup was amicable, it was cute, they were good, and now there's questions about his own behavior in the relationship. But, you know, questioning the motivation behind the timing during an active criminal case is very different from he was obviously paid and he's lying. One is critical thinking and holding that one benefit of the doubt, that 1%, that what if. The other is just deciding you already know. It is worth noting, though, that Ben did say in his video that he's spoken to multiple of Evelyn's past partners.
I've spoken to multiple of her former partners.
Fred is a former partner, right? And Fred's statement said he saw Ben's video and then felt he had to respond. So those two accounts, they don't fully align. Ben implies it was coordination, and Fred implies it was sort of reactive. One of them might be telling the complete truth, or possibly neither is. So let me tell you what we actually know. Ben Pasternak had built his reputation, at least partially, on someone else's work. This is documented. Saba, the developer, said it. Ben Pasternak had allegedly ran this crypto scheme 3 times. He collects $54 million in fees. He left retail investors with hundreds of millions of dollars in losses, and there was a federal class action lawsuit against him in the Southern District of New York. For this reason, we know Ben Pasternak was arrested on the 21st of April of 2026 on charges of second-degree strangulation and third-degree assault with intent to cause physical harm, and he pleads not guilty. He was arrested on the third day of the Forbes 30 Under 30 summit. Same Forbes that called him a prodigy. While his peers were networking at the summit, he was being processed for strangulation. Bro, I don't know who writes this man's life, but okay. We know Evelyn Ha had visible marks on her face on April 1st, the day after the alleged incident. And she confirms that she had left the relationship for her safety and well-being. But paradoxically, two of her former partners described similar behavioral patterns in their own relationships with her. And the hearing for this is on June 11th. This is what we know. Everything else is just people filling the gaps with what they think to be true. And what we think to be true can be very flawed, especially because certain bias and stereotypes that we hold, like, well, the perfect victim. You don't have to be the perfect victim to be a victim. You don't have to be entirely innocent to have been genuinely hurt. Two people can cause real damage to each other, and one of them might just cross the line that the other didn't. That's what court is there to figure out. Not us, not me, not you. But as commentary, I want to look at this man's life because I feel like there is sort of a correlation between everything that we've covered. There is a performance here of success, right? With every chapter of this guy's life coming out with its new PR rollout, the prodigy who built the app, the visionary of the vegan industry, the innovator, this democratizing crypto, the gentle one, who was actually the victim. Gentle. Every time he frames the story the best he could. But for the first time, the story was writing itself without him. I'm not his judge. But when somebody shows you the same pattern in their professional life, in their financial dealings, in their personal relationships, in their statements, when the gap between what they say about themselves and what the receipts say is that consistent, that wide and that long, I don't know, man. That can't be a coincidence. That can't be bad luck. It may just be something about you. Is it a boy who cried wolf situation the way he claims it is? I'm curious about where you're sort of headed with your thoughts on this. When I say a boy who cried wolf situation, I mean he keeps showing you a certain pattern. Wolf, wolf, but there was no wolf. And when there was a wolf, nobody believed him. Is this what is happening? Is this what, I mean, that's what he claims is happening. Is that what you see as well? Or because I don't know, guys. I don't want to say anything that, removes that 1%. Because there is no certainty in none of these speculations. They are all allegations that he has so far denied. Now, here's my general opinion on this entire mess. I think it seems messy right now to everybody outside of it, because the parties involved have decided to let the law handle it. And that, well, genuinely, I think is the right call. Like, this is what, the legal system is there for. Hopefully, it's gonna do its job, right for once. I also think, and that's just me, theorizing, that Ben Pasternak had gone to YouTube because no PR team on earth could fix what he wasn't willing to address properly. It felt like that video was more of this kind of move. If I can get enough people to doubt her, the story changes. And the reason I allege this is because it seems it's the same move he's always done. Shape the narrative before the narrative shapes you. Personally, I don't think the public is owed their private lives. Again, what happened between them belongs in the courtroom. But I do feel like them being, public figures, or I guess people of public importance, let's say, because there's people who follow Evelyn Ha, who have watched her for years, showed up for her content, look up to her. They deserve to know the outcome of the court case. Ben Pasternak has business partners who also deserve to know, I guess, the outcome of this court case. People who support a creator and businesses who work with a certain partner deserve to know who they're supporting or who they're working with. And it's just much uglier getting to justice when it happens in public, because victims get denied their victimhood and perpetrators could be treated with the benefit of the doubt. But that's just part of the process of arriving at justice. That said, the internet's anger is not wrong. This is a DV case, okay? This is a strangulation charge. The woman with marks on her face on April 1st that people did not take seriously first. It deserves attention and it deserves your anger. But you gotta hold on to that verdict, okay? Sounds like I'm just rambling, but I hope you see my point. But between the saint that the internet needed Evelyn to be and the villain that others wanted to make her is a person who is not the perfect victim, but might still be a victim nonetheless. A person navigating something very serious, privately, and through the correct channels. And Ben Pasternak, bro had a name for every chapter in his life. Brilliant Ben. Pasternak the prodigy. The gentle one. What name do you think he's got for this chapter? The defendant. Or the victim, perhaps? I don't know, bro. What are your thoughts? Share them down in the comments below, guys. And do remember, this is an active criminal case, okay? It's not a trivial topic. While you are 1,000 billion% entitled to having your opinions and your gut feelings, tread with caution on jumping to conclusions and having verdicts before June 11th.